Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. Today, in Simple Night Presents, we are going to be talking to Eric Pelletier, who's a return guest. We've had several conversations with Eric about a range of topics. Eric has a background in working for companies like Bain and Oliver Wyman. He is a strategic consultant working with companies and startups all over the world to be able to help them optimize their businesses. And so, with that, I'd like to bring Eric on board. And today we're going to be talking about, can AI be too persuasive? Hey, Eric, how are you today?
Good, and you? How are you, Gary?
Good, good, good. So, it's great having you here today. Every day we interact with systems designed not to serve us, but to shape our decisions. From the apps that keep us scrolling to the platforms that nudge us to buy. And it's all around us, Eric. To the subtle notifications that pull us back in, that one Porsche 911 and a new whale tail for it. Um, AI is really pushing us in all kinds of different directions to nudge us to be able to buy things, to get our interest, and to really spur us moving forward. It's a heart of experience design. But Eric, where's the line between helpful guidance and manipulation? And at what point does persuasion turn into control? Most importantly, what responsibilities do designers, companies, and regulators have to these technologies as they continue to grow more powerful, right? And, I know today I actually had one of the systems come to me and I didn't ask it to answer a question and it answered something I didn't ask. And it was very good because it was something I should have thought of, but it was the first time that happened to me, right? So they are becoming a lot more intelligent. So, what do we mean by experience design when we're talking about AI? What is that, and what does it mean to you?
The question you're asking, where's the line?
Yeah,
It's actually very difficult. If you think about the word manipulation, we all know it's no it's negative connotation, but it's hard to define exactly precisely when it starts. Um, I'm currently reading a series of detective novels that take place in the 30s. And there's one thing that really struck me going through them is actually the amount of drinking that takes place and the amount of smoking. It seems like everybody's smoking at the time. Um, and this is a period where people start to know that drinking is bad and that smoking is bad, so bad for your health. Um, so the question is, if you look at the techniques that are used today by AI to shape your behavior and to shape your thinking, you realize that a lot of it is driven by organizing addiction. And let me explain. The What's interesting when you look at manipulation, the standard techniques for manipulation, they all tend to be negative. Give you a couple of examples. One is called fog, fear, obligation, guilt. Um, the other one is unpredictability. You say you like someone, you step back, you come back, uh, drives the person crazy. These are typically techniques, negative techniques. There is one positive technique, which is love bombing. And you flatter the person, you love the person, you're the best thing that ever happened to the person. And eventually you get that person to do what you want them to do. Um, if you think about personalization, what it does, it creates that environment of love bombing, which is great at the beginning because this is what you want, but then it becomes dangerous because it's super addictive.
yeah, that sounds like relationships you can have sometimes, right? I think there was a movie called Fatal Attraction.
No, no, exactly. Absolutely.
But when you get these, when you have these experiences, when people are interacting with products, services, and systems in the context of AI, when they were using now incredible techniques like behavioral cues, matures to be able to guide people towards certain actions. And then we're doing everything algorithmically, whether it's a product or a skill. And it's one thing about when AI assists us, but when it starts nudging us in a whole lot of directions. I mean, I just had it happen to me. I bought a new car last week. I'd been shown this guards red car a lot of different times. And I started thinking, that's pretty cool. And knew exactly what I was looking for: panoramic top, all this stuff. So what happens last week? I'm driving down the street, Okeechobee in Palm Beach, and that
Yeah.
car happens to be sitting at the dealership outside. I go into the dealership. The dealer said somebody just traded it in. The woman didn't want the guard's red one. She wanted to get a gray one. I said, well, how many miles are on it? They said 373 miles. I said, 373? Yeah, she had it 5 days. I said, well, how much you want for it? They wanted like 12,000 less than what she paid for
Yeah.
it. I bought the car. The point is, I wouldn't even thought about it unless I was nudged. I mean, everything nudged me, and I think probably to that exact dealer, by the way.
Yeah, which is probably not a totally random setup. The but it's to me it's we as humans are or as mammals are easy to manipulate. I'll be a bit crass. You know that experience where they were giving monkeys a button where they could get sexual stimulation.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, and then eventually the monkeys die because they do it nonstop, right?
yeah,
Um, and this is completely driven by the way our brains handle dopamine. If you look at what personalization does, a big aspect of it is pleasing you,
hmm,
and because to get the nudge, you got to cross a certain threshold. That threshold you tend to cross it because you bring a positive experience. Positive experience will release dopamine. You will associate the dopamine to the nudge, and progressively you get there. Big issue there is dopamine is release is hugely addictive.
but where's the line between persuasion and manipulation? There's got to be a line. At what point, when you're building these systems that encourage behaviors in ways that align on one things, like you like sports cars, right? Like
Yep.
nudging someone to buy the sports car. So when does manipulation? When does it go from persuasion and assistance to when it's really using your psychological biases to be able to help the company at your expense, right? And so, how at what line? So is it does it need to be transparent? Does it have to be consent or intent? Do we have to, have GDPR requirements? And listen, if it's going to get to this certain point, it needs to be everybody needs to be on the same page so that there's no fooling around. I mean, there is a line, but the thing is, when do you cross it?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think there's a line. I think there's a zone. There's a huge gray area, but you can't specify it. So in what you mentioned, there are some key elements. Intent is essential. Okay. Um, if you look at social network, they want to get you hooked on dopamine.
Yeah,
Uh, okay, so it's very clear their intent. To me, they're like tobacco companies. It's the same process. They know it's bad, and still they do it, and they know exactly how to twist the experience to give you maximum dopamine release. So one is intent. Consent. It would be great to be asked whether you consent or not to the experience. Um,
would you
and that
consent, Eric, if there was something about sports cars? Would you consent to get information? And what's your favorite sports car right now?
right now is the Evo Grifo from '67, and I'm obsessing about that car. Beautiful car designed by Giugiaro. Um, and on, I see videos and I see stuff, and obviously there is a lot of things being sent to me, and I'm happy to do that. I'm
Now, are
great.
you
I'm
buying anything though?
Well, now I'm saying, well, next time I buy a classic car, that it's top of my bucket list, and it's reinforced every day because every day I get a little.
I've had it happen all the time now. Like with, I just told you, I bought a car. Like I
Yeah,
literally bought it because of that, and I was thinking about it, but it knew that I was really thinking about it. And the more I started presenting things, I started looking at it different ways and started presenting them back to me in different ways.
yeah.
And
No,
I
no,
started,
and
this isn't
and
too
and,
bad.
yeah, and the amount of information. So I go back to this car. So I love this car. The machine knows I do because I've been playing with AI image generator to see what it would look like as a convertible in different colors. Then I went to Wikipedia to check on the history of the car. And then, I said it's designed by Giugiaro, and I think it's best car designer ever. So I started looking at the other things he's been doing, and the machine knows probably better than me that I like it, and probably can tell you why. And because I mean, Isogrifo, that's a car that was very interesting, was Italian design with a big block American engine. Okay.
Really, it had an American engine in it.
Yeah, yeah, it was a Ford Cleveland, I
Well, that's
think.
like the Pantera. The Pantera had a 351 Cleveland in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I forgot the Isogrifo. It was an American engine. Yeah, Pantera is the Cleveland, and but there was a big period in Europe where they had this absolutely gorgeous cars, super well designed with big, reliable, powerful American engines that would not be as complex as a Maserati or a Ferrari. So I have this whole universe in my mind, and the machine knows it, and on that basis it uses that knowledge to what do they want to do. So I start my computer. MSN is my entry point. MSN wants me to scroll, so on a regular basis to send me information, and I go and read it, and then some
So
classic.
then you start like you're thinking about buying it.
Yeah, and it gets a sense because after that it sees that I look at auctions, I look at auction results, I look and all these things. So and then it becomes very difficult to figure out, okay, I love that car.
How do you spell the car? I never heard it before, Eric. What is it
uh,
called?
ISO, it's ISO, and
Yeah.
then Grifo, Grifo.
Huh.
And it's beautiful, I think.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the one version of it kind of looks like a Corvette, actually. Kind of looks like a Corvette and a Pontiac combined. Do you see that?
No, and you look at the headlights; it's brilliant. And
Yeah.
but what's interesting is, on a personal basis, because your question is where's the line, right? It's hard to know because on a personal basis, I don't know. I know I've always loved that car since I was a kid, uh, but now it's turned into some obsession, and God knows why. I don't know why. And I think all these nudges actually get you in that situation. So uh, the intent, yeah. So MSN, they want me to spend as much time as I can on their website. You got all the classic car dealers that want me to go and check their offering, and so you got a huge convergence of actors that once they're provided with that knowledge, start using it. And
You
yeah,
know, and so what do you think though? Do you think that I mean, I like it. To be honest with you, I like being nudged a bit on some of these things. Sometimes not too much because I've been looking at electric bikes. I even though I bought one, the exact bike, I kept getting bombarded by the same stuff, the same exact bike over and over and over again. And I'm
Yeah.
not buying another one. I like what I have. But when's the point? In psychology, you get to a point where you bombard somebody so much, it's called overcompensation, and people get upset, right? So what's
Yeah.
the point on that side? Because that's another thing. When do you throttle it back?
What you're saying is very interesting because I think we're only getting now a sense of the issue that you need to throttle it back because it's got negative implications.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not aware of systems that do it. The way it's being done is actually through the way the market operates.
yeah.
And the market market machine will realize, okay, whenever you see an ad for an e-bike, you don't click on it anymore, etc., etc. So the machine will assess that your interest has disappeared for whatever reason, and in a couple of years, when it has access to your full bank statements.
Well, that's it, because that's the way you're going to find out, because you got to coordinate it to say if the purchase is done, you may not know the purchase is done.
Yeah.
And then you should be talking about accessories, right? Instead of the bike itself, you'd be talking, okay, buy this. You can buy a double battery. Now we get a special on this. Then it becomes interesting, right?
In 2 years, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Uh,
And in the funny part, yeah, no, it's interesting. So, do you think we should regulate this? Do you think governments should have a role in this, to regulate this? And is it the right thing to do? Because on the other side is then we're not going to get presented things that we might want. I mean, the other challenge is we have infobesity. We have so many things coming at us, we can't sift through them, and the AI is giving us things that we want, like that guard's red car. I own it; it's in my garage, right? And I've been thinking about that car for a year. I just hadn't seen one.
yeah. The question of regulation, if you see, so the big bone of contention between the U.S. and Europe about how to regulate and regulate.
Do you think that my opinion, Europeans are going a little far on it, to be honest with you. I think you're going to, GDPR and some of that's right, but we also need to be given the opportunity to look at things, right? And there is
I
a
know.
lot.
I agree with you. GDPR was essential. It's a great thing. Uh, if social networks had been smart, they would have volunteered it, and that's great. Beyond that, about free speech and stuff, it becomes very it's censorship. Okay, and there is always a good excuse for censorship, which is we need to protect people from nya nya nya. Who they think? No, I think people are mature enough that they don't need to be protected. Um, but if you think about nudges, I think the Obama administration made it a critical plank in the way they approached regulation. And they had they discovered the theory about nudges, and then they started applying across many different situations without telling people. Uh, and we go back to consent. I think being nudged is, to me, not an issue, provided I know I'm being nudged and I know the intent.
So, okay, that leads me to another question. Maybe the deals we talk about ethical persuasion, when AI is used to promote the behaviors that benefit both the user and society, right, in a positive way, and nudging healthier eating, encouraging financial savings, right, things like that, motivating eco-friendly choices without hammering them, but moving them in a direction that it's a win-win around. What do you think about that, Eric?
That would be great if it worked, because what you feel is a good nudge, healthy eating. Yeah, on the face of it, yeah, everybody should do healthy eating. But some people cannot afford it. So Okay, then you need to change, and you go into the old thing. So some behaviors that you as a person determined to be good and healthy, it's not necessarily the case. And you saw what happened to your beautiful country during the prohibition, which was a huge nudge, uh, wasn't entirely positive.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
When we look at it, we're coming up to the top of the hour. So, when we're looking ahead, when you look at companies and designers, as AI becomes more persuasive, we got to do things like understand that, always leave the final choice to the user. Let them be able to make the final choice. I said, we talk about designing for the well being. Does this help the user live a better life, whatever better is? And then the other thing is transparency builds trust, and trust is the ultimate driver. I just want to know that they're doing it.
Yep.
If you let me know what's going on and I opt in, that's okay.
Yep. Yeah, but remember the big debate between the U.S. and Europe was about opt-in and opt-out, and Europe was pushing for opt-in, and U.S. for opt-out, and that's really actually a very nice indication of where the the battlefield. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
uh,
in my opinion, persuasion should be a tool, um, be used as a tool, not a weapon.
yeah, and going back to personalization makes you happy. That's the nature of it.
Exactly.
That's the absolute nature of it. So this is great until it gets to a point where you become literally addicted, and it becomes bad. But I think, as you mentioned, if you're able to create enough transparency, I think most of the ill effects are understood by users and becomes okay then.
Eric, I'm going to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us one more time to Simple Night Presents. It's really good. Always enjoy our conversations and your company and our friendship. It's great to have you here. So, closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Okay, to get hold of me, my email address is on the screen. Final thought is, I believe there is going to be a backlash on personalization. You can see the backlash happening with social networks because people, the tribes are becoming smaller and smaller, and the more it goes, the more you hear only one speech, which is the speech you want to hear. But that's very dangerous. This is how we make people stupid, and this is how we manipulate people. So I think there is going to be some movements where people realize you need to see different things. Um, it's um, there's an analogy I use. You got five tastes in when you cook. You got sugar, sour, umami, acid, and you got bitter. And most cuisine avoid bitter.
Hmm.
Uh, but with the exception of Italian cuisine, who's very smart at using bitter. But it's interesting because if you put bitter, then you enjoy the rest a whole lot more.
There
Uh,
you go.
because you know you get that bitterness this, and then you compensate with whatever salt or sugar or spice, something, lemon.
Hmm.
um, but at least it changed the nature of the experience. The world is not all positive. Otherwise would be I think we become morons.
No, I got it. And how do people get a hold of you?
Eric Pelletier at gsdvs.com.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join Simple Night Presents today. Appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for joining one more time. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. We'll be back to you again next week with another exciting edition. Thank you, everybody.